Hi, I'm Duncan, and I'd like to welcome you to my latest YouTube feature. Um, Today, I'm going to talk about the actor Christopher Lee. I've just last night went to a showing at the BFI of a new documentary, "The Life and Deaths of Christopher Lee." Documentary covering his whole life, and it was produced by Hank Stars and directed by John Spira. I think both of whom were actually guests at the screening, and it was the most magnificent documentary. Absolutely fabulous. Fans of Christopher Lee should be very, very pleased indeed. I'm not going to give anything away. I'm not a great reviewer, but just to say that I enjoyed it. It was so funny. At one stage, my rib cage was hurting. Was what some of the things that people said about him and his work in the nicest possible way. You came out realizing what an incredibly cultured man he was. And I'm delighted to tell you that the film's been shown in various places. They did say that there would be a Blu-ray and DVD version released sometime next year. So that's really something to look forward to. Um, my love for and fascination for Christopher Lee goes back some 50 years. I think I'd seen him in things like most of us had because he was in so much. But my friend Giles Masters, who lived next door to me with his brothers Dominic and Adam, and their mum is the actress Heather Sears, and their dad is the production director, production designer, art director Tony Masters. Giles had bought a 12-inch LP record, basically about Dracula. And I think it might have been under a label called Studio 7 or something. I can remember the label. It was partly brown, and it had Christopher Lee on the front as Dracula with blood coming out of his mouth. And side two of the album was some magnificent music that had been written for Hammer Films. Side one had was basically audio, and it had a very, very creepy audio, very creepy introduction, and with some actor, I can't remember his name. I don't think it was Christopher Lee, but saying, "You did lock the doors, didn't you? Your room, you are safe in your room. Oh, oh dear, the temperature's going down." It's sort of really, really, you get more and more spooked as it goes. And I made a tape recording of this and took it home and played it. And our Labrador dog got spooked by it. It was really. And then you get, for the other half of that side of the LP, you get a story about Dracula that is narrated by Christopher Lee. And it's very scary. And they make full use of the Hammer Orchestra for this record. I wanted to get a copy of it. I understand it was reissued for a CD in the 1990s. Well, nobody flipping told me because I'd have gone out and got one. And just please, somebody reissue it because it's absolutely fabulous. I remember also getting out round about this time that they was putting on films about Dr. Fu Manchu, the evil scientist. Christopher Lee played him in 5 movies, 3 of which were shown on BBC TV, and they were absolutely super. I mean, he really was so evil, almost charming as well. As Dr. Fu Manchu. His daughter's worse, much worse than his. I can't remember her name. I don't think you'd like to forget her if you see her in a movie. She's a very fine actress who played her. Anyway, there's some a scene where I think it is a servant girl has done something wrong or something, and she's going to be whipped by Fu Manchu's daughter. And he says to his daughter, "I would prefer the body unmarked." And you think, oh my goodness, this doesn't bode well for this poor woman. But it doesn't, because she's put into some chamber which floods, and you can see her trying to get out with the. And then when she's drowned, they release the body, release the hatchway, and she just floats up to the through the Thames to be found a few days later. And we were watching this, my mum, my brother, and myself, and my little sister Louise, who was only 6 at the time. I thought, this is really strong to be put on at early evening. Uh, but he kept the films going. He was very, very good. He did 2 more which were not considered as good, and I don't think have been shown by the BBC. But you can get them all in a big 5 film DVD pack. And of course, one of the other great characters that Christopher Lee played was Dracula, and I've got him here in a model. I think that's really nice model with him with this with these wonderful teeth, and as well as being in Dracula, which is also called The Curse of Dracula in the States due to some copyright. I think it was called The Curse of no, it's Blood of Dracula. I think that's the. I can't remember. What I do remember is that film and the Hammer Frankenstein film was shown as a double bill in the States and were a smash hit, as they were a smash hit in the UK, although shown separately. And of course, Christopher Lee ended up playing Dracula in about 9 different films for Hammer, all of them good. And I was allowed to stay up in 1975 to see Taste the Blood of Dracula. And although Christopher Lee's not in it visually, screen time as Dracula is fairly small, and this is not the only film to have that. But when he's on screen, he's just mesmerising. It was a really well written script. And this is the thing about Hammer movies. They were made with a lot of tender loving care, and they're still very, very popular today, and deservedly so. And then Christopher Lee, he ended up going to Hollywood, where he was in big pictures like Mr. Scaramanga and The Man with the Golden Gun, and he played a diving expert in the film Airport 77, and he was just welcome in any movie that he was in. And there was I remember Marcus Hearn, who is a very distinguished writer, released many fine books, and he was actually at the screening, I think, of the lead documentary last night, although I didn't have a chance to say hi. He talked about the fact that at one stage he and his friends were switching on the TV to watch on BBC Two Pro Celebrity Golf, because it had Christopher Lee in it, and at the moment, that time, there was nothing else of his being shown. And I had a good old laugh, because I was doing exactly the same thing, watching on my little black and white portable in my little room, and just you could see that he was just a charming man. He was just a good sense of humour, and enjoyed clearly was enjoying the game. Well, Christopher carried on working right through from right through the 80s, 90s into the noughties, where he played Count Dooku in one of the Star Wars movies and was absolutely fabulous in it. He had a fight with the laser. Oh, what do you call it? The that laser sword lightsaber. That's it. And he with Yoda. That was fantastic. And then he is cast as Saruman, the Saruman the White or Saruman the Wise in The Lord of the Rings, which he's absolutely superb in. It's absolutely part written for him. And he was a great Tolkien fan, we're told by the documentary last night. And although he was a little bit upset that he didn't end up in the cinema print of Return of the King, just the DVD release, and he must have been heartened when they started making The Hobbit, three films on The Hobbit. The reason why it's padded out to three films is because in the book you hear about a lot of things that are going on, but don't actually. You hear about happening, but you don't know much about what's going on. Well, until you read later books. Well, they put all this into the films, and made it into another trilogy, of which Christopher Lee reprises his role as Saruman. So he must have been very happy about that. As I say, he was an actor who, just once you got into seeing some of his films, you realise just what an incredibly talented man he was, and you wanted to see more. And it didn't matter. Well, it did matter if the movie that he was in was a load of rubbish, because you felt a little bit sorry for him. However, you also felt very gratified at the fact that he brought the film up by a few notches. Very sadly, we lost him in, I think it's 2015. He was knighted. Uh, he is, I think, the only one of the great fantasy actors to have received a knighthood. I mean, obviously, somebody like Lon Chaney Jr., who wouldn't have been able to get, or Vincent Price wouldn't have been able to get knighthoods because they're American. But Boris Karloff, it would be nice to see if we'd seen him knighted, and he the documentary does mention Boris and Vincent Price as actors that he liked very much and acted with on more than one occasion. So I'll just leave you. If you want to find out more about it, then see this documentary, because which is The Life and Deaths of Christopher Lee. Sorry, it's quite a title, so you have to try to remember it, because he was. It's so great that he was getting great parts in the twilight part of his career and winning new fans and admirers. People who'd never been around during the Hammer phase probably discovered the Hammer films through seeing his later work. But a great celebration. I just wanted to end with, I have mentioned my friends Adam Giles and Dominic Masters. Well, Heather, their mother, actress mother, Heather Sears, she told me of a time when she visited Christopher Lee in hospital. I can't remember what it was about, and maybe it's not appropriate to say, but he had come out of an anaesthetic and he was crying, and Heather had visiting him. She held his hand. I think that's so moving for a man who is so well known for playing parts of ruthless bad guys, but also was very good when he played good guys as well. Thinking about the one film that springs to mind is The Devil Rides Out, which is just fantastic picture. But this wonderful, wonderful actor leaves a treasure trove of fantastic movies and work to be enjoyed by countless cinema and film buffs and cinema generations. So thank you, Christopher Lee, for all the entertainment that you've given all of us. And God bless you. I hope you're making great movies up in heaven. You take care. God bless.